everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Deanna, for the intro. My name is Robert Jadon, and as Deanna mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Startup UCLA. Startup UCLA has been around for 10 years now, and our core team of Deanna, myself, and Tim have all been working together since then. So we've got a lot of institutional knowledge, a lot of lessons learned. People like Bill Goodnews in the audience have been super helpful to us over the years, and it's really, the community is a huge part of what we bring to the table, but I know there's a lot of basics and mechanics that people like to know about, and so we'll go ahead and be covering those tonight. We'll also have some Q&A, and you'll kind of hear some structure about the program that I think will be helpful. So a little background about myself. I graduated from UCLA way back in 2001. I was an econ major when I graduated as an undergrad, and have had a couple of different entrepreneurial experiences. Have sold two different companies. One was sort of a hardware company that was in the storage, networking, and signal processing space. The other one was a SaaS platform that did B2B software, and have been involved as an investor from the angel level up through regular venture Series A and then growth equity pre-IPO. So I've been able to see a lot of different things, and really think that that's an asset and something that I bring to the table as part of this. And so hopefully we can really help you guys, because that's really the mission of our program, is to give you the best chance for success and to bring the resources of UCLA to bear to you and your startup. So we'll get into it here. So a little bit about what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what Startup UCLA is. I'm going to show you what a week in the life of the Summer Accelerator actually looks like. So what is the time commitment? What kinds of things will you be attending? Speakers, etc. We'll do a little bit of a program overview, and then also some past examples from entrepreneurs who have been in there, and I can give you some details. We have many success stories that we're very proud of. So in terms of the Startup UCLA team, as we mentioned, myself and Deanna, we've been doing this for quite some time together along with Tim. But what we wanted to mention is that we have a very large group that's involved outside of directly our Startup UCLA team. So when you guys get pitch coaching from Professor Groling, who we've been alluding to here, he was formerly the chair of the communications department or comm studies. He's worked with a number of different startups and seen those pitches go from the very earliest of stages to going on to raise tens of millions of dollars. Then you'll have other people coming to the table from our network, whether it be, Brian Lee, the founder of the Honest Company, people like Kirk Dunn, who's been involved from early stage startups all the way up into growth equity and IPO work. There's numerous examples, and all of them are connected into the program as mentors and as resources for you. So in terms of the program itself, Startup UCLA is sort of an umbrella for a couple different areas, and just wanted to clarify that as we talk about it and as you hear about it around campus. So what we're focused on here tonight is our Summer Accelerator program, which begins in July formally. We'll tell you about application deadlines and other things along the way. We also have our Blackstone Launchpad program, and that's been in conjunction with Techstars previously. And finally, we have our Innovation Fellows program, which is focused around faculty and researchers and postdocs who are commercializing IP from the university in conjunction with the technology development program. So we like to think that we cover everybody in the UCLA community out there. So if the Summer Accelerator program is not your thing, because you might have fit into one of our other demographics here tonight, like a faculty member, that's okay. We can still help you. As we mentioned with the Blackstone Launchpad, that's available as venture consulting or almost as office hours to help everybody, whatever your venture may be. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear those exciting things you're working on, even if it's just an idea where you're kind of like, I'd like to just wonder about this thing, or maybe you've got something where you've got 10,000 people using your product. So we like to be helpful across the board. So we've gone through this presentation obviously many times. This will be our 11th year doing a Summer Accelerator, but always thought it was helpful to kind of explain what your time looks like during the summer. So as I mentioned, it's right after 4th of July is when we hit the ground running. We'll have some orientation and things before that, but that's really when we're expecting you to be working full time on your startup. And the point of the program is not to occupy all of your time during the day with cool presentations and meeting mentors and meeting with service providers. It's for you to work on your startup. And then we do a lot of the programming at night around that so that you have time to, do your work, and then we supplement it from there. So working on your business is core. As I said, we expect that you're doing that full time. And so we know there's team members who may not be able to always give full-time work in it, but that is the expectation for the core team members. In terms of Mondays, that's when we have our weekly sync. So I will be meeting with you along with our assistant director, and usually there's many times that we'll loop in mentors, and that's where we're setting goals for the week and we're reviewing what you did the prior week. So no matter what happens in terms of your interactions with mentors, you're going to be syncing with us regularly to make sure you're on track. And we can, again, meet you where you are. So it might be product milestones, it might be go-to-market strategies, it might be how to raise your round. So there's lots of different things, and it's a customized program tailored to you and what you're doing. Tuesday nights are usually our speaker series. And with the speaker series, we basically will be bringing in an entrepreneur or an investor to come and tell their story. Now, what's very unique about meeting these people, whether that be in person or virtually, is that you're going to get one-on-one time with them to talk about what you're doing and basically, connect with them and sort of get that dedicated few minutes with them. So they're not there for hours and hours with you because they have to meet with everyone from the program or all the teams. But it is a unique thing where we find they can be quite helpful in that moment. And then either you continue discussions with them at another point in time, or you're able to work off of a referral from their network. So we've had people like Barry Eggers, the founder of Lightspeed Ventures, which is a sponsor of the program, come by and be heavily involved. We've had other people, like let's say on the entrepreneurial side, coming and talking about how they got their first 100 customers, and maybe they're off and running doing something else now. So anyway, point is that the speaker series is a way for you to connect with those people, and then you hear a fireside chat where you also get some Q&A time. Wednesday nights are usually our skill series, and that's where we have a subject matter expert come in and talk to you about a topic that we think is very important to your venture. So Fenwick & West is our legal sponsor, and they come in and cover a bunch of things that are important for startups. So there's a whole bunch of things that people will ignore when they're getting going. They might not have vesting agreements for their employees. They might not form the right entity depending on what type of fundraising path or lack of fundraising that they want to do. And so they're very helpful on that. It can also be things like customer acquisition. So if you're looking to utilize Facebook as a channel, how am I going after that? How am I doing my audience segments? How am I setting my bids for the ads? So we have a bunch of different topics that we customize based on the cohort that is there. And hopefully it supplements the great work and education that you're getting at UCLA, or that you once did before you graduated. And so it's a nice sort of trade-off between having the stories that the speakers are telling from the speaker series and then learning concrete, tangible skills from the skill series. Thursday night, and again, we're not hard and fast on all these things, but a lot of times there's a social event. We've been functioning in a remote way the last 2 years. So we've been doing things using Zoom and connecting all of our teams remotely. And so making sure that everyone in the program knows everybody else. But those can also be events that we do in the community. We've partnered with VC funds. We've partnered with accounting firms to have events out and about. So we like to make sure that you're also sort of connecting with the whole group, because a major part of the experience is connecting with that cohort that you're involved with, because you're in the trenches with them. You're working on your startup. And a lot of times they're a great resource where you can actually avail of them, where maybe somebody is working on a video or a promo of their company. And you'd be amazed that, a lot of times maybe there's someone in the room who could very much help with that promo video, whether it be filming or editing or referring you to a friend. So basically, what I want you to take away is that a lot of our stuff is in the evening, and then there's other stuff spread throughout the week in terms of how you work on your business. And so those other things might be a mentor coming in to visit during the week. It could be a service provider like Amazon Web Services or AWS talking about how to use their system. But ultimately, we try to not overdo it. At one point, I think we got up to like having like 80 or 90 events, and then we realized we'd gone too far. So now we like to think we've struck the right balance. In terms of the overview of the program itself, so it's 10 weeks. We map those weeks out very carefully. So as I said, usually the first week, I want to say this year, it might be July 5th or 6th, and then it ends around mid-September. So that's how things are broken up during the summer. There's a $5,000 stipend, and this is very important because we don't take any equity in your business. So this is money for you to use however you'd like. You can use it towards development. You could use it towards paying for ramen, but this is basically at your discretion on how to use it. Because Startup UCLA is part of UCLA Greater and we are a nonprofit, we treat it as that we're trying to bolster the UCLA entrepreneurship community and really sort of see that develop over time. It's not about just short-term returns. We talked about the top entrepreneurs coming by, and you get subject matter experts. So there's a lot of that as we talked on the weekly schedule. Connecting with the Startup UCLA team week to week. We have the formalized meetings on Mondays, but you're also welcome to connect through us throughout the week. We have Slack set up so people are constantly communicating through that and shooting us questions. We also have a very robust legal setup with Fenwick and West. So they're coming by and doing office hours. If you have IP questions, you can talk to them. If you're wondering, I had a friend of mine who was involved and now they're no longer there, and how do we structure this? They have dealt with that before. So really a great resource across the board. And then we have a number of service providers who provide credits into the system. So if you are using Airtable, you can get credits. If you're using AWS, you get credits. And we have a number of other partnerships. And if we don't have it and you're interested, we're happy to reach out and have done that before. So we can try and get you a deal if we don't have one existing. Our mentor night is a very important part of the program that we do week 3. And when we have the mentor night, it's a wonderful way to sort of connect with a large amount of people and then have that as a jumping off point to deeper connections. So it's a little bit like speed dating, and we've done this in person, we've done this remotely, and it's kind of fun for both sides because it's like the lightning round. You know, you get a few minutes with each group. Multiple mentors will be in sort of a group or a table or a pod, and then you're able to pitch to them, get feedback, do questions, and then kind of figure out if those are people that you want to continue talking to. So the people are just a huge part of the program overall, whether it's our team, the mentors out there, the partners and speakers who come by. But Mentor Night is a really fun thing overall. And we do it early enough in the program that you can leverage that in the future. And a number of our companies have connected with people on Mentor Night, and that's been the difference in them getting funding at the end of the program or afterwards. And finally, Demo Day, which is super exciting and a great celebration of the program. We do it in week 10 on Thursday evening, and you'd be amazed at the progress that occurs. Our mentors are always so excited about that because they're seeing the teams week 3, and then between that week 3 and week 10, it's amazing to see how much can be done and accomplished. So it's a nice way to get exposure, to get connections to investors, to get connections to mentors, to get connections to business partnerships, and just to celebrate the work that you've done. Because you're going to work really hard if you're in this program. It's just fast paced, and that's what happens. In terms of past participants, we wanted to highlight a couple examples. We have many that we could share, but I think it's always nice to kind of hear some real world things that are out there. And the first one that we wanted to highlight is Nish Patel. So he has a company called Clutch Points. Clutch Points has the largest set of fan sites for the NBA and a number of other major leagues in sports. And so he's been able to aggregate that into a pretty big audience now. I want to say it reaches over 150 million people last time that we heard, and has been able to do that. He started that as creating a fan page while he was a second year at UCLA. And so we worked with him on that strategy. We helped connect him to some investors, and Clutch Points is doing amazingly well. Jamaica is a person who came to us right after she was finishing school, and she had a company called Rosen Skincare that was basically her solving for her own problem in terms of her makeup needs and her skin needs. And she was literally making the product while she was in the program with us, and kind of dialed in really nicely on who her target customer was going to be, and has been able to grow that business organically into 7 figures of revenue, and recently took in a funding round of, I want to say, $4 million. So, so Jamaica was just finished with school at UCLA, was kind of deciding, do I go take that job or do I go with my business? And I think she really made the right decision. So it's been great to see her progress. Mike Giroux, he was in Anderson at the time when he came to us with Shipmate, and Shipmate was a way for people to connect who were going on cruises and find excursions, and he did a great job sort of dialing in the marketing and creating a very engaging, compelling app, which he ultimately went on to receive funding from Amplify LA, which is an early stage fund that we're very friendly with here, and then went on to have the company acquired within a couple of years of starting it. And finally, Mehdi was a grad student who was actually he was in the school, not a dentistry, he was actually getting his degree in orthodontist. I'm butchering it here. But anyway, he was an orthodontist and studying that at UCLA, and had actually done some work on creating a novel approach to straightening teeth. I'd actually a patented approach with a new device. So you think of traditional braces, he had a new way of doing it where you actually individually adjust the teeth. And so we talked to him about the IP issues related to that, navigating that through UCLA and then onward beyond that and after the program. And it's been great to see Eddie's progress since then. At the time, the company was called Mechanodontics. They since changed their name to Brius, and have raised a decent amount of money since then. And so we're excited to see where they go from here. But exciting to see some of those harder tech ideas can also be brought to fruition from students, graduate students, and alumni. So I know I go quickly through a lot of that, but I know that there's a lot of fun stuff on Q&A. And so I'm happy to obviously delve into a lot of the details that we went through here, but I always feel like you got to kind of move through things when we're on Zoom here. So, so with that, would love to take any questions that anyone might have.